Hello and welcome to part 6, and in this part we've got quite a lot to cover. We've obviously just finished the railway here, which we're going to obviously link up with some trains, which obviously is a quite a good use of a railway to actually, have trains running on it. And we have quite a few things that we can do with our peninsula that we've been working on right down here. Now, in the last videos, there have been quite a few comments and things, and there are a few things I'm going to implement into our map. The first thing is Sean Quinlan gave a very good suggestion as to how we could actually timetable the routes. Obviously, it's quite bizarre really because I've been playing the game for quite a long time since Transport Tycoon Deluxe came out. I think I must have been about 10 or 11. And I've literally been playing the game from then, so OpenTTD itself was something that's quite new to me, and I haven't really participated in the community a great deal. But Sean Quinlan's basically explained how we can actually space out trains in a lot more of an effective manner than just starting the trains at specific intervals. So we're actually going to use that going forward, and I'll explain when we come on to obviously doing the timetable how that works, as he's explained. And on top of that, we have a few alterations, a few additions we're going to make, should I say, to the peninsula. A few different routes we should put in. The first thing I am going to say as sort of a mini announcement is that after this video, I am going to start scheduling the uploads. So instead of just uploading them as and when, now I've kind of been recording, scheduling them to upload, say, a few days after I've actually created them, just to give them a bit of space, so you're not getting like 10 parts in a day and then nothing for like 3 weeks. I'm going to upload a video every Wednesday and every Saturday. This hopefully is something I can keep to, unless I get taken away for like 3 weeks on training or something. That's what's going to happen, and I'll try to let you know if anything like that does crop up, but that's what I'll be sticking to. And I'm going to actually try start recording some non-OpenTTD games as well. Again, you don't really have to watch them because I know that a lot of people are here just for OpenTTD, but if anyone did want to obviously see anything else that I'm going to do, it is going to be on here as well. I think City Skylines is another game I'm going to try play and do a series on, because it's quite similar in terms of obviously planning and executing something in a strategy-based game. Right, with that out of the way, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a few different routes to our peninsula, just so we can so we're not neglecting what we've already established within the map. Now, the first suggestion I'm going to actually take on board was made by, and it's quite odd that all these suggestions are made by people who have very difficult to pronounce names, so that obviously makes things a little bit more peculiar for myself. This was a suggestion by Nadezda now, let's go across here. Basically, the suggestion is that we should have a ferry service to some of the towns around here. Now, eventually, when I actually we create the station to this Prodding Pool Falls here, Prodding Pool Falls, should I say, that's when we're going to actually put a ferry route to Reddingstone, and we'll create that as quite a busy route. But it could be a good idea to actually service this the village that's just kind of isolated out here. I mean, look, really. So if you look at this village, there's 179 people. There's all houses, a few trees, and a statue. So whichever council this was got around the table and thought, well, there's no need for us to build a shop or a school or even a church. We'll just build a statue of a horse. That's yep, that seems like a good idea. So what we'll do is we'll help out by building a ferry route to the mainland, so these people can actually eat, which I'm sure is something that they'd be quite pleased about. So let's build a dock. There's even a car parking centre, because obviously when you're on an island that small, definitely the thing to do is own a car. And what we can do is, shall we have it visit Bromway, which is another small station, or shall we have it come down to Reddingstone? I would believe that Reddingstone would be the best shout for this. No, I really don't want to do this, because it's going to cost me 111,000. But if we're building the dock, I do want to do it a little bit further away from the mainland, because in the future we will be extending this city out to give it a chance to grow. I mean, look, how long has that land been available? And already there is someone building upon it. So it would be a good idea to allow them to do so. So what we'll do is just create this road here so nobody can build on that. That's practically safeguarding the land. And we'll build a dock there. Oh, actually, should the dock should be part of the main city, shouldn't it? So actually we should join it onto Reading Zone itself. Because in theory, I mean, if you want to look at this in a real world scenario, it's not unreasonable to assume that someone would get a train and just walk across town to a dock. So there don't need to be two separate stations. We will need a ship depot, which we will have over here, because it doesn't look like we'll be expanding this land outwards, considering that this area here hasn't even been built on yet. And what we'll do is we'll obviously create a ship. Now, I don't really have many ships. I haven't actually installed a GRF, which provides me with new ships. I believe I tried to at one point. For some reason, it isn't working. So we will just create one ship route, which will be to Fundingbury Docks. That's literally all it needs to be. And in honour of his suggestion, we will call this, we'll call it Fex Ferries. The full name is Nedster Fex. So we could call it Nedster Ferries, but Fex Ferries has more of a ring to it. Fex's Ferry? Fex Ferries 1. Just in case we ever have a second ferry. Any ferries in this area that we build in the future that are to serve local areas will be named in his honour. Right. The second suggestion was that we incorporate a mail route. Now, mail is something that I do obviously want to come on to. I tend to only do it with larger towns. Now, have we got the capacity on this line to incorporate a simple mail train? Because, to be honest, I mean, I know a lot of people have been saying that I should create these stations as sidings on the main line, like these ones here. But to be honest, it's a smaller line. It's only really a branch line with an express passing service. I don't really want to invest that amount of infrastructure into it. Again, in real life, that would only really occur on mainline stations and such. And that's kind of what I'm wanting to keep it in theme with. Although the suggestions are good in themselves and are very valid. Right, okay, so we have Nunnington, which accepts mail. A small mail train could be viable. Although, to be honest, what we could do is create the mail train which goes right up to Warnpool, because that also accepts mail. Warnpool itself, I mean, this is complete, isn't it? So we could actually make that mail train now. Let's do that. So let's create our mail train. Let's use... the only multiple unit trains that are mail trains are electric ones. So let's create a diesel mail train. Heavy general purpose. That'll do, Piggy, that'll do. Mail train, 100 miles an hour, that will also do. And let's just create it as 2.7 long, because most of the stations are 3 tiles long in themselves. Non-stop to Flawnhill. And then the next stop will be Nunnington. And then after that, we will go up to Warnpool. And in honour of the chap who suggested this, the chap being, and again, please forgive me for any mispronunciations. I'm just going to focus on actually spelling your name correctly first. It's Simon Gosinski. So we will call this Gosinski Mail. Potentially in the future we'll have a second train. Depends on how profitable it is and how much we need it. I do understand it probably is going to be quite profitable in itself. So yes, that is probably going to be something we'll come on to. But we shall leave this for now. So we have this up and running. So we now have a mail service on our branch line. So we'll add this in. Gosinski Mail. Oh no! Well, that's kind of highlighted that I could have just done that anyway, but it's not what I wanted to do there. We will do that in future. Gosinski Mail, and we will have Fex's Ferries. Or Fex Ferries. Fex's Ferries? Fex Ferries. Fex Ferries is what it should be. implies that Fex is the brand instead of it being a ferry of Fex's. Sorry, Fex, as much as obviously it's a great suggestion, we're not implying that you actually own these ferries. We want to keep the profits for our expansion. Right. Okay, so that's those completed. I also have noticed how everything is in a kind of a line here, a bit of a conga going towards this this depot. I'll make sure not to make the same mistake if we ever have any other lorry routes on the map. Also making note of this congestion is something we'll probably address later on, but again, like I've said, this is only a branch line, so I don't want to invest tons of resources into towns which are only 1,500. I mean, yeah, that's nearly 3,000, but they are still quite small towns. When they grow quite a bit, that's when we'll look into the efficiency of the route. Now, what we'll do next is we will create the branch line services that will service these small towns, and we're going to use Sean Quinlan's timetabling suggestion for this. So we'll have the trains start and terminate in Warmpool, and we will just use a single sprinter. No extra carriages, just one sprinter. It has a capacity of 70 passengers, but that does mean the acceleration is going to be quite a bit better by us doing that. So, obviously it's going to start in Warmpool, and there are quite a lot of stations on this route. So, let's input all these. I'm just also making a quick, I'm quickly ensuring that I've done the signals correctly as I'm placing these down. It's very easy just to overlook a single signal when you're going through quite as many as we were doing in the last episode. That's far end, that needs to be middle. And Nunnington will be its destination. Let's have that automatically fill. And this branch line can be called the Quinlan branch, in honour of our Sean Quinlan's time-saving suggestion. So this can be Quinlan branch. Where's the oh yeah, of course. Well done me. So I dragged this in there wondering where the train had gone for me to drag it into. Oh man. It's been a long day for me. Well, it hasn't really. It's been quite a short day, but it's my first day off in a while, so forgive me if I am frazzled. Okay. Branch line is in operation. Away we go. When this has completed its route, we'll actually have 2 trains service this. So we'll have... in fact, it is quite a long route, isn't it? Should we have 2 or 3 services? So if we had 3 services, one will be there about... or 4. I'm just debating. So, when you will come on to making the timetable for this, we can actually choose how many trains service the route before... Whoopsie daisy. Before we actually start the trains on their route. It is a fairly long route, but I do want to keep the frequency down, so I would say we'll have 3 trains on the route at the end. Okay. And while that's running, I'll keep it just alive at the top by doing so. We will assess where we're next going to build. Shall we begin to build the railway up to Drinley, or I believe what may be a better option is actually just investing a bit of infrastructure first around Warnpool, just so we haven't got a rail network that kind of services towns with no real purpose. So let's extend our road network down here, and what we'll do is we'll create just 1 or 2 bus routes which will just serve to help the city grow. That is what we're going to need. It is going to be quite an important stop for us in the map. So we will just iron out the city. Now what kind of towns do we have around here? How can we structure the local transport around Warmpool? So, looking here, what I'm actually looking for when I'm assessing towns like this is lines of which we can actually run certain routes. So straight away here I'm looking, we've got Warmpool there, Puberg. Oh man, what a horrible name. That looks like we could start a bus route here, or maybe in Wannington, which kind of goes up this line here towards Fort Waffingly, which will be on the coast. That looks like it would be a good option. It also means that some of these branch line stations aren't going to be as annoyed with the fact that they're going to get quite sparse services. So if we, in fact, what we'll do is we'll create a bus station here, and we'll actually have the line move further down as well. So we'll make it into quite a long but local bus route. This is a local bus for local people. So we'll create a bridge here. It's going to be quite a long bus route, but it will be one that will be quite important for the local area. We will make sure that the services are quite sparse. It doesn't need to be anything too frequent. Let's create another bus stop here. Now in Wanpool, where can we have the bus station? Straight away I'm thinking there, on this building, because I don't want to demolish any of these larger buildings, or here actually. That could be a good shout. I would say there. So let's create a bus station here. What we'll do is we'll create with 2 stops, and then we will make a entrance, because this little loop here will serve as a buses will be able to obviously turn around, which will be, it's obviously what you want. And we will do this. No, I've done it one step too far. We'll have a dip down here, because what we can do is we'll allow the town to expand down this direction, but also we can tunnel under this junction, meaning that buses don't have to turn around and go over this bridge, which will waste quite a lot of time. And we'll connect up these roads. Build that road there, so it's 2 apart, just for optimum area to build. And let's just destroy this here. Jesus, that took a lot of the population off. And create a road there. That'll be more beneficial in the long term for the town. And we'll create another bus station here. Hardtown Forest. Cool. So that's the bus route. We have all our bus stops. Yes, we do. Oops. And I've literally just noticed that this has finished its route. So what we'll quickly do is turn it around and send it back to the depot. And we will come on to the timetabling. Now, the first thing we need to do is space the days out on here. So we'll have it stay in Wanpool for 7 days. Shall we have 2 or 3 days? On later in the route, how often does it stop? Right, 2 days. So every station will be 2 days. A 2-day wait, which should be efficient enough. This Gentile and Trondingworth station, that it can wait again for 7 days. In fact, no, let's say 10 days, because there's nothing else going to use that station. We might as well just let it recuperate its time lost. Ronington, all these down to Nunnington are all stationary stops. And Nunnington can be 5 days. We don't want it to stop too long because it is used from the other services on the branch line as well. Printhead, Gentile and Trondingworth, 10 days. Puberg. And Puberg is how we're going to pronounce it now. Right, so we now have the timetable set up. So this is what we do. We hold down Control as we clone these vehicles. And now we make sure that the timetable, that the train is servicing its first station. And then we can go up here, hold down Control, and click on Start Date. And that will basically mean that we can set a start date. I'm going to pause the game. So it's the 20th of March now. We need to set a start date of which the train will leave the first station of which it's due to leave. So we'll set it as the 31st of March because it's the 20th of March at the moment. So it gives it enough time to get there. And because I've held down Control, Quinlan Branch 1 is that one. You'll see, and I'm just going to make sure this is absolutely correct. Quinlan Branch 1, this timetable will start the 31st of March. Next one down, the 5th of June. and the one after that, the 10th of August. So it automatically spaces those trains to start at different intervals along the route. The one thing that we need to consider is we actually have to start the trains, from what I've seen, because I tried to test this theory before I came on here and just kind of did it free will. We have to start the trains for them to actually get to the first station. They don't start themselves. The one thing with that is if we started all these trains now, then what would happen is if Warmpool was a station which was actually in use, we'd have two of the trains waiting here, basically infinitely until June and August to actually start their route, so it's going to congest the station. That's fine for us now, so I am going to start these trains, but we'll have to be very careful as to how we do this in future. Perhaps we could do this by having a depot which only allows access to one platform, and we have one platform which feeds in new trains into the route, but that is just something we'll have to bear in mind. So I'm just going to make absolutely sure that this is going to complete itself by no intervention. So yeah, that's running 58 days early. And we look at this train here, the third one, 122 days early. Oh man, I need to stop doing that. You can all see my horribly laid out desktop, my TF2 background. Right. So where is the, out of interest, where is the first train when the second one departs? So let's see. So we'll be able to assess here just to see how well spaced out the trains are going to be along the route. So it's nearly at the end of its route. There we are, in Ronington. So that's fine. There's a huge gap between those services. That should provide us with enough room to have the express train service the branch line as well. Okay, so where were we with the bus route? We need to put a bus depot in Warmpool. Let's put it here because there's no reason for that road to be there, considering there are buildings behind it. And again, there's a what is causing the because I'm running OpenTTD this time in full screen, but it seems that I'm clicking something at the top which is causing it to minimize, which is quite bizarre. I'm not quite sure what it is. Okay, so Warmpool Road Depot. Let's pick a MG1 bus, as they tend to be the quickest and overall best bus for shorter routes, like local routes. And let's fill in our routes, our stations. On here. Puberg, Warmpool, Hardtown, Fort Waffingly, Hardtown, and then that should be it. So let's start the timetable. And we should call this... what should we call this? What can we call this after? I need to start being more creative with the names of the routes. This is a lake here, I guess. Is it a lake? Nope, it's a bay. Right. Puberg Bay. Let's call it the Puberg Bay Rider. Right. Puberg Day Rider. Oh no! I've added it to a random... Oh dear. Oh no, I've done so many things that I didn't want to do. I've added the oil tankers to the lads banter bus. This is not what I wanted to do. What does this button do? Protect this group from global auto replace. No, I don't want to do that. I want to try and drag this out if possible. Nope. Ungroup road vehicles? Yes, there we go. And where have I put this bus? There we are, the Puberg Day Rider. Have I got Bay Rider? Yes, Bay Rider. It's in the lads banter bus. We don't want it in the banter bus. No banter will be occurring in Puberg Bay. Puberg Bay Rider. There we go. I am getting this very confused with the fact that obviously a day rider is also something you would have on a bus, so that's what's kind of thrown me off with the name. But I am going to keep it like that because I'm just going to challenge myself to see how many times I can mispronounce the name. So we will allow the bus to do its route, and while it's doing so, we will assess the surrounding areas to see what else we can actually incorporate. We could have a bus route which runs and services a few of these small villages up here, and comes down, and yeah, we could have basically a route along here So eventually, what we'd basically be making is a cross of bus routes which will service Warmpool, which I think would be a good idea. So let's create the road network for this. So it's quite a mountainous area here. So it could be beneficial to try and pick a bus which has a high horsepower engine, as it will cope with the terrain a lot better. Let's create this into a loop, which was very lucky that the terrain allowed for that. Actually, I was expecting it to not be so quite as fortunate. And we'll create our road down here. And this town will be our terminus. Yes, it will. This town's a little bit too far, I think. Maybe in the future. Create our bus stations. While we're back here, let's just finish off this route. So, 3 days in Warmpool, 3 days pretty much everywhere. And then in Printhead we'll have 10-day wait, because no other buses will be going to Printhead. Let's pause the game just while we create the timetable. Town Forest. Yes. Fort Waffingly, let's stop it there for 6 days. 7 days, why not? Entire week's worth of waiting. And let's go back to route number 1. Click on the depot. Let's send this back to the depot. Back to the depot. So it's now waiting. So it's running 1 day early. Let's reset the late counter. Let's how many vehicles are we going to have? 1, 2. I'd say maybe 1. So we want when the bus leaves Warmpool. Excuse me for a second, because my cat is on Ashy's chair. Whoa! All she tends to do is just climb around our bedroom, swishing backwards and forwards, trying to play with different things. She's literally just rolling around at the top of the chair. Okay, so where were we? Right, how many buses do we need for this route? Warmpool. So how many buses do we want to be in this section at once, I think is what we need to answer. So I would say 4, 5, and then maybe 5 or 6. I'll say 6, 7 buses in total. So, cannot build while paused. And again, minimizing to the desktop. Control click. Control, 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 control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7. 7 buses. Pause the game again. Now what's the start date? It's the 9th now, so let's put the start date as the 22nd. Start. And what we can do is set number 1 off. So 22nd, so this one's starting on the 14th. Yes, that's fine. And away we go. And I'll just release a few of these, just make sure that they're not going to interfere with each other. I want to make sure that the bus that's going to come back from this section of the route has actually space to go into Warmpool bus station. Which it should do, because it comes from the other direction. So that should be fine. Yeah, let's just release all these. There we go, that's perfect. Cool. So that's the first bus route in Warmpool completed. Now let's finish off adding the stations to our second bus route. And let's slow down time a little bit. Actually, we'll put the station there in this village. So that's our second bus route. So what we'll do is have a look now. As I was doing the other bus route, I did notice that another bus became available. So let's weigh these up. We've got, that one's 274. Yeah, so this new bus, the Macmillan Panther bus, is quite a lot more powerful than even than the double deckers. That one, the articulated bus, is quite a bit more powerful, but it is obviously heavier as well. I'd say the Macmillan Panther bus is what we're going to use. So let's create the orders for this route. back to Warnpool, and then the opposite direction. Again, Tally. She's such a playful cat, but at times she can be so much work. Ah, man. Right. Lenfingford, back to Warnpool. That is all we need to do. Autofill the orders for me, please. And away you go. Hopefully the bus isn't affected too much by the fact it had to wait there for a short while. Wonder how our branch line is doing. So these trains are going, thankfully. Quite a few passengers at Printhead. I'm quite happy with how that branch line's come out. It's basically what it needed. How are these stations faring? Good. So the service must be pretty decent, although that's quite towards the end of the line, so it gets an unfair assessment. This is going to be very good, yes, because the trains wait for so long. Printhead has the buses, that's okay. Trinbridge, let's see how their rating is. Mediocre. I can live with that. I think that, yeah, overall that branch line is very sufficient for what we need it for. I am happy with its result. We'll have this service go through this route without any major stops, because in future this is close to quite a few other towns, so we may need to use that bus station for some of the services, so I don't want it waiting for 6 days when other buses may need to use it for only 3. We will have it wait in this far station here because it's only a small bus station for quite some time. So 15 days. 3 days. Another 3 days. And then there we are. Let's put it back to the depot. And let's skip its orders back to the start. Reset its late counter. And give it a name. Now, we're going into the mountains with this one, so let's call it Gruntown Mountain. Let's call it the Mountaineer Shuttle. Let's give the Mountaineer Shuttle a group. Mountaineer Shuttle. Let's add it into its group. Here we are. Reset its late counter once more for good effect. How many buses will we need? Should only be a small one. I would maybe say 5 or 6. 1, 2, 3. I would say 5. It's not going to be anything too busy. 5 buses. And let's control click a start date. Have it as the 28th of September. And here we go. 27th, 28th. So now the bus route has started. There we are. I'll have to see maybe if there is any way we can incorporate all these different buses that will be starting at the same time. Perhaps I'm missing something. I would probably say that would be the ideal resolution. Just ignore this notification, which takes me back to the desktop again. Oh man, it's a good job that we don't have anything incriminating on our desktop, isn't it? I'll also mute my phone and start that one. Hopefully I've not done that too late. I think I have. Oh no. How late are you, bus? How late? 15 days! Well, it's a good job we have a 15-day wait at the end of your route. I've done 2 buses at the same time. That should be okay. Go away, Telegram notifications, which take me back to the desktop. The theme of this this part is definitely being desktop shimmering. Okay, so with that part, with all these bus routes we've created, with the branch line in place, and with my desktop clearly imprinted into your minds, I would say that's time for a conclusion. And that will cease this part. In the next part, we will finally look at starting to go forward with our railway route up to Drinley. And within this rail route, we will actually have siding platforms. Man, so many things. I am also going to look at a way that we can actually keep the desktop from askew, because I can imagine it's quite distracting. But yes, I feel all in all it's been a productive part, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.